Hi guys, it's Lynn. I hope you are having a great Monday today, or it will be Monday by the time you see this. I am super excited and honored because the wonderful and talented Alexandra Parker has let me be a part of kind of a collab slash playlist she's putting together, and this is entitled Lessons That I've Learned as a Woman. And the guidelines were really loose. You could talk about, being a female YouTuber, being a mom if you are, being a wife, being a woman growing up, whatever. So I'm just going to kind of roll with it and take my own take on it. And I really hope that at the very least it's entertaining, and at the very most maybe you get something cool out of it. I don't know. And please, if I happen to be the first one that you're watching, please watch the other ladies. I will make sure that I link the playlist down below for you. Please check it out because there are some phenomenal ladies, I can already tell you, that are going to be a part of this. So, I decided to kind of take this into my own area a little bit, and here's what I mean by that. I decided to think of some of the women who have been really influential in my life personally and kind of, share lessons that I've learned from or because of them. So this is some of the things that I've learned being a woman and growing up, becoming a woman, becoming a mother, becoming a wife, etc., etc. And, if you're new here, I am a mom of two very young boys, almost 4-year-old and an 18-month-old. And I can't call him a 3-year-old anymore. Oh, God. Anyway, I am in my 30s, and I think that gives me certainly not a better, but definitely a different perspective than someone who's, say, in their 20s or in their 40s or 50s or whatever. We all come from different walks of life, and we all have different life experiences and different types of knowledge to offer one another. I think that's one of the greatest parts of being a woman, and is our versatility, our differences, and the things that we can offer and teach one another. So I have had several influential women in my life, and they have all taught me something that has really stuck with me. I mean, they've taught me lots of things, and I could talk to you for probably hours and days on end, but none of us want that, and I need to go to bed soon. So I am going to kind of, streamline it, shall we say. So the first woman I want to talk to you about is my great-grandmother. Very strong-willed and outspoken lady, but in the manner of the past, whereas she did it still in a very graceful and elegant and understated way. So one of the things that I always noticed about her and that I really took from her is her pride in appearance. And I don't think I have ever seen that woman without her hair curled and coiffed and beautiful, and her nails manicured, and just everything just in place. I mean, she wore, nice, age-appropriate, classy clothes. She was a class act, and, she didn't come from a whole ton of money or anything. I mean, she was fairly well off, but she really took pride in herself and who she was, and that made me kind of realize that as a woman that we, while we do place a lot of importance on our outer appearance, it really does affect who we are on the inside. And I'm not saying you have to have perfect makeup, perfect nails. If that's not something that makes you feel good about yourself, it happens to be something that I really enjoy. I mean, not all the time. 90% of the time I'm in sweatpants. But when I leave the house, I really like to kind of get done up, and, maybe it's just a placebo effect. Maybe nobody notices the lipstick or the highlighter that you have on your face. But if you are feeling confident about your outer appearance, then you will feel really good about yourself on the inside. You'll have confidence, and I really feel that that's important, especially for women today, because if we have confidence in ourselves, then we tend to be more capable, more self-assured, and we tend to treat other people more kindly, because I find it's the women that don't have very much confidence or pride in themselves that try to rip others down, and that's not something that any of us, I think, want to be. Another really important woman in my life was my grandmother, and my mom was, for all intents and purposes, a single mom. And so my grandma and my grandpa, basically, they didn't raise me, but they helped raise me. I lived with them for a while, my mom and I did, and even when we moved out, my grandmother still watched me after school. And it was really nice. It was almost like having two moms, and they were very different women, but they were both wonderful, obviously. So my grandma, my grandma was kind of an interesting woman. She was the type of outspoken woman that was funny and witty and just never stopped talking, didn't have a story that lasted less than 45 minutes, and she tended to repeat them often. I mean, she was a talker, and she was very, very opinionated, and not in such a subtle way. But that's alright, I think that's awesome. And one thing that she taught me, and that she told me, and that I have tried, not always succeeded, but almost always succeeded on trying to take into my own marriage. Her advice to me was never go to bed angry with somebody that you love. It's not worth it. It's not worth winning. It's not worth being right. And I feel like we as women, you know, we want to prove we're smart. We want to prove we're right. And, you know, most of the time we probably are. But something that is so important is showing kindness and compassion. And if you think that means giving in or, you know, letting a guy walk all over you, well, you never met my grandmother. Because that wasn't it. But she knew how to forgive and move on in a kind way. And I honestly never heard her and my grandfather fight, even though I'm sure that they did. I know that they did. And they were loving and kind to each other up until she passed away. And even still, he thinks of her very, very fondly. So that's something that I learned as a woman, that sometimes it's more important to turn the other cheek and to be kind and be forgiving and remember how much you love the other person, even if you don't think that they're correct in whatever particular. Another woman who is really, really influential and important in my life is my aunt, and she is a total spitfire. She's my mom's sister, and she is a force of nature, I guess. I don't know how else to explain her, but in a quieter moment, we were talking, and she mentioned to me something that I found to be really something I found to be really profound, and she was telling me about my grandfather, and she said, the next time we have steaks, I want you to look at what steak he takes, and notice he always takes the worst steak, and leaves the best for everybody else. And that is something that I thought about a lot, and that I started to observe, and I wish that I had observed it quicker in life and not kissed so many frogs before I found my husband, but, you know, you do what you do. And something that I observe about my husband and about good men and good people, not just men by any stretch of the imagination, is that they will save the best for those they love. They will give the best of themselves, the best of whatever there is, the last bite, you know, the better seat, the first chance, whatever. They will give that to you, they will give that to your kids, they will give that to somebody else because they are kind. And that's kindness just deep down in your heart. And I think that's really important. And I think that's something that's really important to emulate as well. You know, I don't know the exact quote, but we're judged by the way we treat somebody who can't do anything for us. So, you know, especially here on YouTube and just in groups of friends or families, it's really important, I feel, to treat everybody as if they are the same and as if they are worth everything. You know, obviously if somebody screws you over or if somebody's not nice to you or whatever, then you don't have to do that anymore. Something I found is that you catch a lot more flies with honey than with vinegar. And I just, you know, being kind is so important. Being kind to one another, being unselfish, sacrificing a little bit to make somebody else happy. It's just something that I am still working on, certainly, because, you know, I'm human, I'm selfish, I want me sometimes, but I think that it's really important I think it's really important to try and give something back, and it feels amazing when you do, like when you can give your kid something that he loves instead of buying something for yourself, or when you can do something to surprise your husband, or you can find something that your mom will really enjoy, or you can send something along to a friend that they weren't expecting. I mean, all of those things, it just makes you feel awesome. I mean, it's just a good thing, and it's a good lesson that I've learned. And the last person I want to talk about is my mom. And my mom and I have had, she was a single mom and I was an only child. So it was kind of just she and I for most of our lives. Till I was about 11, she met my stepdad, and 13 when she married him. And they have been together ever since. So for all practical purposes, they're my parents. But it was just she and I for a long time. So you can imagine two chicks, mother-daughter, all alone, a little bit of a volatile relationship. And I'm sure I was not the easiest kid. Oh my gosh, I was so opinionated. I was a wild child. But anyway, enough about that. One thing that my mom taught me is that there are situations growing up that I'm not going to really go too deep into because they're not relevant to this, but I had difficulties throughout my grade school education, and my mom really had to go to bat for me. She had to fight a lot of people that basically didn't think I could do something or underestimated me, and she was like this kind of meek, quiet person normally turned into like this ferocious, raging bear, for the lack of a better word. And something that is amazing to me is that she would do so much more for me than she would ever think of doing for herself. I mean, she never stood up for herself, but when it came to me, she was vicious. I mean, she was venomous. It was a beautiful thing to behold, and I think that is so awesome, and that is something that I want to be as a mother for my children, is just be that absolute beast when it comes to anything that's holding them back, or anybody that is unfairly, treating them wrong, anybody that's trying to, physically or mentally or emotionally harm them. I just want to be this hurricane force of nature that just whips those obstacles right out of their way, because man, it meant a lot to me. Not growing up. I didn't really notice it at all growing up as much, but it meant a lot to me. So that's something that I really took away from her. The last thing that I want to talk about is something that I really had to learn myself as a woman, because, we as women, we should be one of the most important and influential women in our own lives. Don't you think? I would like to think so. So one thing that I really had to learn, and took me a while to learn it, is not to settle for less than I deserve and not to sell myself short. I may not be like the smartest or the most talented or the prettiest or whatever. I mean, there's always going to be somebody that's a little bit better than you at everything. I mean, just bottom line, that's probably the way it is. But I have to say that I have taught myself I deserve as much as anybody else, and I am as important as everybody else, and my voice deserves to be heard as much as anybody else's. So that is something that I have learned definitely more in my 30s than in my 20s, and I think that I will continue to strive for and reiterate to myself probably for the rest of my life, because we always like to be like the sacrificial lamb or the martyr. We like to put everybody else first and then wonder why our life sucks. And I've just come to the conclusion of, no, we need to do stuff for ourselves. There's a way to take care of yourself, stand up for yourself, take what you deserve without being selfish and without harming other people. So that is something I've kind of had to teach myself. So I hope that all that rambling didn't bore you to sleep. If it didn't, thank you so much for watching. Please, please, please check through all the other ladies, because I'm sure that they have some knowledge and wisdom and anecdotes to offer you that you won't want to miss. Please subscribe to hear more, random ramblings like this, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.